I'm so disappointed with what quote unquote stance culture became.
Welcome to the Full Throttle Podcast, where we talk cars, chaos, and questionable life choices made at 100 miles an hour. I'm your host, Mickey Andrade, professional wrench turner, Skyline junkie, and living proof that bad decisions can pay off. From botched builds to track day drama, we're going to dig in. Today's guest is the reason your Instagram feed is full of chopped up, overbuilt, ground-scraping insanity. He's the guy who made stance a statement, not just a trend, and then ditched it to build a tube-frame Ferrari F40 that pisses off purists and engineers in equal measure. He's a fabricator, a filmmaker, a professional overthinker, and probably the only guy who can weld an engine stand and quote Friedrich Nietzsche in the same afternoon. From the OG StanceWorks days to the race-ready psychosis, Mike Burroughs has always done one thing: whatever the hell he wants, baby. So buckle up or don't, because the seat's probably not bolted down yet. This is going to be loud, fast, and super entertaining. Mike Burroughs is in the building, baby. Let's go.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited for this one. That's quite an intro.
Thank you, man. I worked hard on that one.
I can tell. I'm flattered to say the least.
So I've been lucky enough to know you for about a decade.
Yeah.
I think we met when I worked at HRE Wheels, and we were trying to work on some projects together when StanceWorks was an up-and-coming and budding entity.
It was a long time ago. That had to be, that was right after I moved to California, so maybe 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
For better or worse, the heyday of car blogs.
Yeah,
That was what it was. So, it's crazy to think back on how far all of us have come from that point. Especially, I know I'm the one being interviewed here, but looking across the table and seeing how far you've come from that moment is more incredible. So,
man, thank you.
What a fun journey it's been.
Yeah, we've built something very special within these walls, and it's been fun to go from just being a guy that liked cars to actually doing it for a living and a hobby as well. So it's awesome. So thank you for those kind words. Man, I got to admit, I sat down a couple weeks ago when you said, hey, I'll come down for the podcast, and binge watched all of your Ferrari F40 videos back to back to back to back.
I appreciate that.
Holy crap, dude. That is a big project. Now, I know you're fully capable, but what from your background, planted the seed in your head that I can do this? I want to build my own custom F40 Ferrari.
There's lots of things that kind of have brought me to this point where I'm at right now in feeling confident enough to tackle a project like this.
Yeah.
One part of that is my history with my E28 that most people know as Rusty, which was this, it kind of put me on the map and StanceWorks on the map all the way back in 09, 08.
I would 100% agree with it. That's how I learned about who you were.
Yeah, it all began with this cross-country road trip, first time coming out to California, driving that car all the way from home state of Tennessee and back. And the evolution of that car, which eventually was in a garage fire, I had to decide how to bring that car back to life.
Wait a minute. Your car was in a garage fire?
Yeah, when I was in college, I was an idiot and accidentally burnt my garage down. My landlord's garage down, not mine.
Admittedly, you did something wrong to burn it down?
Yes, yeah. I was trying to make an engine run in the driveway, not in a car. I had just had an engine sitting on a tire, and
this is good.
I wanted to make it run by itself so that I could put it into something else without standalone. So I had the factory computer and all sorts of just stuff hooked up. And as far as I can gather, I hooked a fuel injector up backwards, or gave it power when it didn't need it. So it filled a cylinder with fuel. I pulled the spark plug and then spun the starter to purge it. And instead of just raw fuel coming out, a big fireball came out, and that was the beginning of the end for that garage. So just a ton of fuel burning. It was a mess.
Okay. I got to dig deeper. What thought crosses your mind when this happens?
Oh, shit.
I know, but okay, so the fire starts, right?
The fire starts.
And what do? Do you grab water? Do you what?
Well, I immediately try to do something about it. This was so long ago that I don't even remember all of the fine details, but it got out of hand so fast that I immediately realized, okay, I got to call 911, call the fire department. And then the next thing I did, honestly, was I grabbed my camera, because I realized, I can't put this fire out. I don't have the equipment to do this. I think I grabbed a garden hose and sprayed for 10 seconds before realizing this is futile. This is never going to work. And so I took a few photos And I think I might have taken like a 30-second video clip because I was like, I was a photographer.
You were born for this shit.
And I was like, I got to document this because it's up in flames. This is done. The whole thing is raging on fire. And so it's like, all right, well, might as well get a photo.
Oh my God.
I managed to get my roommate's car out. It was a 2-car garage with a kind of a lean-to carport on the side. And I got his car out of the carport.
Thank God.
But yeah, my E28 was inside and burnt to a crisp.
Well, you made, what do they say? You made lemonade out of lemons. Is that how that goes?
Yeah, that's the right order of operations.
Wow. So burnt the car to the ground to a crisp.
Yeah.
And the garage. But you pulled it out of there afterwards and basically said, fuck it, I'm going to rebuild this thing.
Yeah, so at the time, I wasn't much of a fabricator. I was learning and wanting to figure that stuff out, but I had, we'll call him a mentor at the time. His name was Chuck, and he was a drag car chassis builder. And when the car burnt up in the garage, and I was kind of fussing about the fact that the chassis was like just not even usable anymore. There was no putting this car back on the road. And he said, all right, well, bring it over and we'll start on a tube chassis for it. And I was like, I didn't know that this was an option. This is crazy. What are you talking about?
Oh, this is a whole new world for you at that point.
Yeah. And so that's what I did. I took it over to his place, and we got out the plasma cutter and just cut it down to a bare skin. And we actually started on a tube chassis inside of this like lean-to. I think his shop might have been made out of a pair of containers, shipping containers stuck together just in his yard. And we got started on it, and then I moved to California.
Okay.
And so it sat for a few years, and I got out here. I bought my first welder. I did my first fabrication project, building a 28 Model A, and kind of tried to lay some groundwork so I knew I could fabricate and pick this BMW project back up.
Okay.
Brought it out to California, and then kind of had this bee in my bonnet, so to speak, of, well, I want to do the entire thing on my own. So I cut out the chassis that we had started on.
No way.
And started over.
Reset button.
And through that, over the course of 2 years or so, with the help of friends, I don't want to say that I did the entire thing myself, but we built a tube chassis, E28 race car, kind of Group 5 tribute thing. And that's where I think a lot of the foundational understanding, or at least like the scope of this F40 project comes from, where like I know what it takes to build an entire car from scratch because I've been there and done it. And in a few of them since, but this one is definitely much bigger in scope, in part just due to the overall like budget. It is a much more expensive vehicle than an 80s 5 Series.
I'd say.
And then everything that I've learned since building that BMW and my skill set increasing and my desire to build better vehicles each and every time. This project is something I want to put everything that I can into, whether it's every dollar, every hour of time, every ounce of effort. Like I want to make sure that it all comes in and is the best thing that I can build.
Man, it's definitely an ambitious project that I know you are going to complete and knock out of the park. I already know. I can already see in my head what it looks like.
I hope there's an idea, and then I hope that when you finally do see it, there's still a little element of surprise, because I don't want it to just be an F40. Like anybody that's out there watching and thinks like it's just going to be an F40 when it's done, it's not.
No, so. I definitely don't think that it will be. I'm excited to see it, and I kind of want to fast forward 2 years to like see it done. But I also don't want you to rush, because I know this is a passion project for you. You're going to learn a ton along the way, which is really cool. It makes me wish I lived closer so I could come help.
Dude, please, anytime.
One thing that you and I have in common, among probably a lot of things, is that F40 is sort of a hero car. It's definitely an unobtainium hero car for me that I'll probably never in my lifetime be able to afford. So you're doing it the right way.
If you stay on your path, I have no doubts you'll get there. But
we'll see.
I agree. It feels like this car that I never thought I'd have in any form. And I guess to touch upon that, like there's a lot of people that give me pushback for calling it an F40, because it's not an F40 in your normal sense, right?
Well, so, it doesn't have a title, but
it doesn't have a title. I mean, it's an authentic body, and my approach
dude, you call it what you want to call it. You're the one building it.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to keep calling it an F40 for clarity's sake. And my philosophy on this, and when I try to explain it to people, is that when I think about the cars that I'm really like most excited about, which would be kind of those like, let's call them Group 5, or even like GTX class, prototype race cars, things like that. Probably the best analogous one that I can give is if you go to the Rolex historic races here in 2 weeks.
Yep.
And
I'll be there.
I'm confident you'll probably find one of the Roush Protofab Fox body Mustangs.
They're so sick.
You look at those cars, and you and I would both sit here and say, that's a Fox body Mustang.
Yeah.
There's nothing Fox body Mustang about it other than the shell that it wears. It's a full tube chassis car, but none of us are ever going to be like, no, that's not a Mustang.
Right.
It is a Mustang. It's just all that's left when you take a car to that level.
The Fox body was basically the homologation car for that race series car.
And so if I were to take an actual Ferrari F40 and somebody said, hey, ignore the value of the car, ignore the rules, respecting this thing, how rare it is, anything, and to do whatever it is that you want to do to it, I would take it down to just the parts that I have anyway. I don't want any part of it other than the bodywork, because I want to take and build
You want the appearance.
I want the appearance, and then I want to take and build something that is the equivalent of if they said, okay, let's take this thing, IMSA GTX class racing.
Dude.
Yeah.
And it's going to be better.
Let's make it better. So that's the idea.
Yeah, your space frame chassis will be way more capable than any tub that Ferrari could have made in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of people also fail to realize, if you get to look underneath an F40, it's very much a don't meet your heroes moment. It is not a nice car underneath.
It's like a Diablo or a Countach. They're the same
it's
way.
like...
And man, we have a Ferrari project here. Actually, this is the second one we've done now, which we'll show you after the podcast. But if I'm being honest, Ferrari's fabrication work isn't that great.
It's not.
I mean, it almost looks like it was built in someone's home garage. When you look at the welds and the chop cuts that they do that don't butt up, they literally fill them with weld, and it's pretty ugly, if I'm being frank.
It's really bad.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to them. I mean, we're still talking about some of my favorite cars in the world.
And these are also 30-plus-year-old cars.
Easily. And if they had the ability to take the time and make them, I am hesitant to use the word better, but let's call it better from a fabrication standpoint, the cars would just get that much more expensive, And there's limitations to this stuff. The cars still do what they were meant to do very well. And we have them in their form and can appreciate them, but it also gives me the opportunity to say, okay, well, I know that I can make a better F40. A lot of people come to me and they say, who do you think you are to think that you can make a better car than that? And it's like, well, I get to stand on the shoulders of giants from the last 40 years.
Yeah.
Anybody can hop on the internet and basically in a matter of days absorb the knowledge of the last 40 years of racing and what we've come to understand in these most basic terms. And okay, we can make all the suspension better. We can make the chassis better. We have better materials. We got better equipment, so on and so forth. And just a normal guy in a garage like me can definitely make a better chassis than what's underneath that car.
Right. And, spitballing the ideas of utilizing modern suspension underpinnings, things like that is cool. But to actually do it, which is what you're doing, is amazing. The parts that you picked off the 458 for the hubs and the assemblies, the A-arms, all that stuff was brilliant because you're making pickup points anyway. Yeah. You can put them wherever you want. So I have no doubt that this car is going to be better than a 30-year-old Ferrari F40 when you're done with it. Modern chassis, modern suspension, modern electronics. I saw you're using Haltech and the UC10 and all that stuff. I think it's going to be fantastic, dude.
I sure hope so.
That's why I said I want to fast forward 2 years and see this thing in its finished form already.
It's a project I'm really excited about and I'm motivated to work on. And I guess the one downside to the project that is of this caliber and that has the attention that it has is that it's brought this whole new level of pressure that I'm not used to, where I'm going to do what I want to do on the car.
Yeah, you have to.
That's always how it's been. But it sure feels like there's so much expectation from the outside, more than there's ever been from a project before. Because, back in the day, if we rewind back to when we got started with this kind of stuff, you always built the car. You didn't tell people what you were doing. You didn't show it. And then it's like, hey, guess what? Boom, project's done. Here it is.
So, yeah, growing up back east, we both did, it was you took those winter months, you put your car in the garage, you did what you wanted to it, and then it came out for the show season, and people were like, oh, shit. You weren't under a microscope of YouTube every few days or whatever, once a month, whenever you're posting. It's it becomes very polarizing and hard. And I think for you, my suggestion, brush it off, dude. Don't listen to the noise. Do you, bro.
So I think kind of one important thing that I've found in that mentality is in building a YouTube channel, and having the projects be, the heart of it, I've told myself over and over again that I have to make sure I'm making the content that I want to make, because the second that I stop doing that, the whole thing becomes that much more of a job. It's still a job.
And you're doing it for someone else.
Right. And if I'm chasing the view and not just, hey, this is what I want to make, this is a story I want to tell, or this is what I want to show, the whole thing just becomes a burden.
Yep.
And to that end, this F40 content, like, I really want these episodes to be worthwhile every time you watch one.
So far, you've done that.
People want content every week. And, that's kind of like what you have to do, is at least content weekly. What does 1 week of work on that car look like right now? It doesn't look like anything. Yeah. And so if I were to show what I did this week, people would be like, dude, this is the most boring episode I've ever seen. Why aren't you actually working on this car? And it's like, no, I need you to understand, like, I spent days just trying to figure out how to solve a problem, or then I had to spend a bunch of time drawing something up in CAD, and then I had to order those parts. I had to wait for them to come in. Building something of this caliber is as much work as I expected it to be, of course, but in trying to translate that into something that is like worth watching and that's entertaining is a whole different level.
One thing that I think a lot of people don't understand are all the unknowns that go along with a project like this. You have this end game vision that you see in your head that you want to create, but there has to be a recipe to get to that end game, and you don't always know what that is. Or you start down a path and you create issues that you didn't foresee coming, and you head off down another path, and it's kind of all over the place. And in order to keep that under control, you almost have to slow down and think things through many times over before you start something, because it can get very expensive really quick. You start throwing a cage together and, oh man, I forgot we needed to do this because we're going to do this with the suspension. Ah, shit. Cut it out, start over.
Yeah, I definitely want to avoid doing...
It gets expensive.
Oh, yeah. I mean, every part of it, especially... I'm guilty of getting ahead of myself and like buying something that I think I'm going to use for a project and then I don't. So when I was building the tube chassis version of the Rusty E28, I think I bought, it was like 2 or 3 different engines that I was fully set on putting into that car before I landed on the one that I actually wound up using. And I want to minimize doing that this time around. And so you really do have to think so many steps forward. It's much more like chess than anything else. You're having to think, what are all the moves that I'm about to make? I don't want to put myself in a corner, box myself in somewhere where it's like, crap, I gotta cut tubes out of this chassis now because I didn't think about this part or that part needing a home or a place to exist, because there's no formula or roadmap here. There's nothing for me to just like look at and say, okay, here's all of the, you can roughly figure out all the parts that you're going to use. And I think a lot of people watching the project and seeing me do so much CAD work would love to see me just design the entire car in CAD and then move over to the fabrication phase and build it. And I know that's probably like the most like logical approach, the most like production friendly version of it.
Yes.
But it's completely not realistic for someone like me to do.
Right.
And it's not realistic at all for the sake of like content either. And I'll have people say, dude, you could design the entire chassis in CAD and then just have it, CNC bent and notched and put it together. And it's like, I could.
And then just welding tubes together.
But I want to make the car. I don't want the machine to make the car. I don't want to draw the car and then basically what is the equivalent of click print and then just stick it together. Like, that's not exciting.
And I think that's pretty honorable. A lot of people would just say, you know what, I'm going to spend X amount of hours bending tubes and maybe rebending a bunch of tubes. It's easier for me just to design this in CAD or have somebody come in, scan the body, throw a cage together, send it out, weld or cut it, bend it, cut it, bring it to me, and then I'll weld it together. So I appreciate that, because you're taking the long road on purpose, but you're going to learn so much in that process, more than you already know.
Yeah, and I mean, from a tube work perspective, I mean, having built a number of cars, and then for 2 years, Riley Stair, who I believe, so he and I ran a shop out of my shop, basically just doing roll cages for 2 years. I didn't know
that.
Yeah, so
you have way more background in that than I even knew.
Yeah, so I mean, I've done a lot of roll cages, and I know roll cage design and theory and rules and what have you. So like, I'm really comfortable with tube work. The only downside is that because I want to build it as best as I can, I'm being really particular with how like tubes are going to fit. So there's kind of like the running it's not really a joke, but joke is that like the A-pillar bars in any roll cage are probably going to be the hardest ones of the whole car. If you really want them to hug the roof, the A-pillars land right where you want them and be able to like weld the entire thing to the body.
And you handcuffed yourself in that area because you don't actually have A-pillars, right? Or you do now.
I do now, yeah.
But in the beginning, it was kind of hard because you had already started bending the main hoop without A-pillars.
Yeah.
And I'm in my head going, oh, shit, where's this going to end up?
Yeah, so I have A-pillar facsimiles now that are in place and enough information present to get those A-pillar bars bent in the car.
What was it called, a drip tray or something?
Like a rain tray.
Rain tray.
I had to like find one of those. It's really interesting. There's all these parts and pieces for this car. So much of it's actually still like available, whether it's new or people have them.
Yeah.
But also they're all just so expensive. It's painful.
So expensive, and I imagine a lot of this stuff's been sitting on shelves for many years because who's really rebuilding these cars or recreating these cars from scratch where you need a rain tray?
Yeah.
You'd have to be in a pretty bad collision to need a rain tray.
Yeah, if you need a rain tray,
you probably wrote that car off.
Yeah, I mean, like you can't really total one anymore, but it would be totaled.
So for those of you that may not know, the rain tray is the part that basically sits inside the glass, right? Underneath?
Yeah, you can kind of imagine it as like the panel that would be under the dashboard. So it's the panel that makes up the bottom of the windshield, like the windshield sits on it, and then like the dash bolts to it. It looks like a dashboard.
Cowl area.
Yeah, it's like a cowl dash panel type of thing. It's just what exists underneath that stuff.
So I love hunting for parts in Japan for my cars.
Yeah.
To me, I call it the thrill of the hunt. It's an obsession. Do you have that same feeling when you're looking for these F40 parts? Because you got to be looking for unicorn turds.
No.
Like,
it's the worst part of it.
Really?
Because so believe it or not, so let's rewind a little bit and talk about how the project even came to be.
Sure.
Because I knew that I wanted to build a tube chassis car again because I've learned enough. And my 308 244 GTK project, I started on that saying, I don't want to build a whole car from scratch. I want to modify one. And I did that, and I got far enough into that project, I was like, man, that was stupid.
Yeah.
Build the whole car again. So I said I want to build a whole car. And I started kind of trying to decide what body I was going to put around a tube chassis and what engine I wanted to use and what have you. And I had a few different ideas. And one night I'm sitting after like a session on iRacing, I'm sitting in the sim rig, I'm cooling down, and the question comes across my mind as I'm sitting there like chatting to some of my friends, not like in a serious way to buy something, but just like, what does a F40 hood cost? Like, that's got to be so expensive.
Because it's the whole front of the car.
Yeah,
basically.
And I know that, for example, on a first through third gen Viper, like you mess up the hood on the front of that car, it'll total the car.
Yes.
And the hood for those cars, I think, is like $30,000.
Yes. 40.
So $40,000. So
ridiculous.
I was like, what do you think an F40 hood costs? And so I'm cruising around, I'm looking, and I come across one that had sold on Bring a Trailer for like $20,000 or something.
Okay.
And I was like, that's a ton of money, but that's cheaper than a Viper. That's crazy. Who'd have thought?
Really not bad.
And so then I was like, I wonder like what other body panels cost. And before I know it, to make a long story short,
rabbit hole.
I found basically the front half of an F40 new old stock body panels.
Doors and everything.
So
doors, rockers.
It was rocker panels, doors, roof, and front clamshell.
So literally at that point, you need a rear clamshell
and the rear
and
underbody,
a bumper or bottom. Yeah.
And so I was like, well, that's most of an F40. It's all new old stock. Wow. This is authentic. And I kind of like ran the numbers, and I was like, well, if I like empty my savings account and if I sell off my E30 and my E28, like I could conceivably do this.
Can you say how much you paid for those parts?
I'd prefer not to, only because I think that it's not so much, how do I phrase this? I don't want the monetary aspect of this project to be what people find interesting.
Yeah.
And
I don't think people would find it interesting, more so just like achievable. But let's say there's not a lot of those parts laying around out there either. So
you'd be surprised.
Really?
One thing that I found is like there's more of these body parts out there than you would expect.
Okay.
So
that's crazy.
If somebody really wants to run the numbers, you can easily figure out what I have invested in the body of the car. It's less than you would expect. Like it was literally
north or south of $100,000.
It is for everything that I have so far is a little north.
Okay.
But not much.
Okay. So we have a project we're working on in this shop, which I showed you photos of before we sat down. We spent that much on the exterior. of this project car. So I would say that that's actually very fair for what you're going to end up with.
I think that it's remarkably fair. I would have said that for a car that is anywhere from $3 to $4.5 million as a complete finished car, that the most like, I don't know, to me, interesting or important part of it, the body, would be
the look.
At least a third of that price. Like if somebody said, "Oh yeah, to buy a complete F40 shell, you're looking at $1 million," I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, that adds up."
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
And so once I realized, like, you know, the front half of a car was attainable by selling some old BMWs, I was like, I'm never gonna live this down if I don't. And
Sign me up, baby.
Between selling those cars, which I was very public about what those cars sold for, you know, the E30 I think I sold for 27 and the E28 for 35. And then I turned around and as soon as this whole thing got off the ground, I sold my Model A.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you sold that.
Yeah. And so I listed that one for 80 and took just under. And so those together were enough to get me an F40 body.
Boom.
So now, but also to be clear, it is just the panels.
Of course.
Just the panels.
Yeah. Building the running gear and the chassis, that's all on you at this point.
Yeah. And the problem is I would have thought that the body, these big old carbon Kevlar parts, like the entire front half of the car and the entire rear half of the car for the rear clamshell, would be like the really expensive parts. But back to your question about hunting for the rest of it, it's the rest of it that is eye-wateringly expensive. Just the 4 latches that hold the hood down. You know, like there's the latches on the side.
Yeah,
so
the clamshell latches.
Yeah, there's one on each side of the front hood and then one on each side of the rear clamshell.
Yep.
A set of those, if you want authentic ones, used, just still in this old, tattered, water-soaked box that's been on some you know, like the styrofoam in it is degraded. It says Ferrari on it. You want a complete set of those with a matching key? It's like $12,000.
Get out of here, man.
Yeah.
Or I thought Skyline stuff was expensive. That's crazy.
And it's you know that those latches are like off of like a bus engine cover in Italy, right?
They repurposed them from something.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you figure out what that is?
And then just simple things like looking up
aero catch.
Yeah, exactly. Or like looking up the not the pop-up headlight assembly, but just that front fog light assembly that everybody thinks are the headlights. Like I found a set of those for sale that were like new old stock. They were still in their boxes. They were $14,000 each.
Okay.
For just these like a simple bucket with 2 cheap lights and a glass lens.
$28,000 into some headlight tubs
that you could make for way less. And so all these like little parts and pieces that are going to be needed to make the rest of the car from an outside perspective and make it pass for what it is where like the real money is going to be.
Yeah, and I think you're intuitive enough, and you've got a Creaform scanner, I believe, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna scan that, make your own tubs, make your own light inputs. That's easy stuff for you.
Yeah, and that's the fun stuff where like I don't want the car to wind up looking like a
futuristic thing or something.
Like Restamod type of thing. Like I want it to very clearly be an F40. When you see it, before you get to hear it coming down the road, you can be like, oh shit, that's an F40. And then like once you hear it, or maybe you hear it first, you can be like, something's different here. That doesn't sound like an F40. And once you get to stick your head into it, then you're going to say, holy shit, this is not your normal F40. That's cool, that's the hope.
I love the spirit of this project, and I think that's what got me so attached to watching your videos the other day. I literally stayed up till 3 a.m. watching your videos. I got to watch till I get caught up to where it is right now. So we've discussed quite a bit about your YouTube breaking F40 project. Let's get into some other stuff. I've got a bunch of questions here, so let's just dig in. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go.
What's the biggest mistake you've ever made in your career, and did it make you better or bitter?
Biggest mistake I've made in my career. Wow, that's a profound one.
For me, if I ask myself that question, it's like, which one?
That's fair. That's fair. You know, I think like if I were to look back at where I'm at now, I'm not somebody that kind of like lives with regrets, and I don't want to be somebody that, you know, looks back and kind of dwells on those what ifs. But when I first started StanceWorks, this would have been in 2009, and then you remember Ben, my former business partner, and he came on board, and in my ignorance at that moment, I gave him half of my company.
Hey.
And that was definitely a lesson in that, like, hey, don't do that.
Don't give away your company.
Yeah. And, you know, when I look back at what he brought to the table and what he wanted to do with the company, I really respect it. I spent a lot of time after we had our like bitter divorce, if you will. Resenting just so much of that. But when I look back at what he was doing, you know, he was just shy of my age now. I'm 36 now. I think he was, in his early 30s, around there. And I realized, like, he was just a few steps ahead of where I was, where he was saying, like, dude, we got to make money. Like, this has to be a business, and we're not making any money. And I'm sitting here thinking, like,
I just want to build cool shit.
I'm an artist. I want to photograph cars. It's I don't want to be a sellout, you know? And it's like, there's a happy middle ground in there. But I think, like, you know,
you guys were on either end of the spectrum at that time.
Exactly. And so I think, like, looking back on it, it was a tough lesson to learn, but it taught me a lot. And, you know, there's so many lessons in there from, one, don't give away your company. Two, like, he brought a lot to the table in trying to understand how to make it a business, and he did help me adopt that mindset. And it took another decade before I was like, hey, I actually need to make money here. I need to, like, think about how to make this work.
Yeah.
Because I can't just not make money forever.
Right.
So I guess, like, that would probably be, like, the biggest.
I think that's a great answer. And I think it sounds like you learned quite a bit from it. And we're hopefully able to put the rift between you and your partner behind you at this point.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time, but I mean, it's one of those things, like, I'd love to catch up and get a beer, and, you know, done a lot of growing up and figuring out how to, you know, again, just like not being a kid that's trying to run a blog, and instead, like, the business that I run now is so different from what it was back then, but
that's a whole new world now.
Yeah, I think that's probably, like, the best kind of example that I could give of.
That's a great answer, man.
Trying to learn from the mistakes, or even just, like, being an ignorant kid and trying to, like, you know, grow up and make this work. There. Especially now having employees and, like, having it be a real business.
Yeah.
Where it's like, there are people that depend on me to put food on their plate, and that's terrifying. But I really have to make sure that I think of this as, like, it's fun. I want it to always be fun, but it has to work.
And it has to make sense.
Yeah.
So if StanceWorks never took off, where would you be right now? What would you be doing, you think? It sounds like this has been your passion for a very long time. So I don't know that maybe you haven't envisioned it without StanceWorks being there.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever, like, asked myself that before. And, like, this will probably, like, it could come off the wrong way, but my response to that would be that's just never been an option. Like, there's not a backup plan, because that wasn't something that I was willing to accept. And
you were already on this track when we met, and we were just saying that was like 12 years ago, maybe now? 10 or 12 years?
Yeah.
And you were in your early 20s at that point. So you were already laser focused on this being what you wanted to do in some capacity.
In some capacity. And I didn't know, like, what that was going to be or how it was going to work. And so, you know, from 2012 all the way up until, I guess it was 2018, it was just Andrew Ritter and I as partners, and we spent most of that time barely scraping by. I mean, just barely making it, and every year we'd have this conversation about, like, how much longer can we do this? And him being a handful of years older than me, he was less patient. He was one step between Ben and I, because like, we were all kind of equally spaced in age. And I remember realizing at one point, oh, he's at the point that Ben was at a few years ago. Where he's like, hey, I'm thinking about getting married, and, like, I want to have a kid, and, like, I got to have this make sense. And I'm a few years before that. I'm behind that. I'm sitting here thinking, like, I just want to have fun. Like, I'm just here in La La Land. I come into the shop every day, and, like, I just want to tinker with cars and take cool photos and tell cool stories. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And so, again, kind of having those steps and realizing at some point it does have to work and whatnot. But in terms of, like, where would I be otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, I guess just my answer would just be that it was never something I've entertained. It's not. Yeah. It's not an option. I'll figure it out.
That's a fine answer. If I asked myself the same question, I'd say the same thing. I would be doing something with cars.
Sure.
It may not be exactly this.
Yeah, I mean, when I got started, I remember, like, telling my parents initially, like, oh, I want to go to, you know, whether it was, like, UTI or Wyotech or something like that. Like, I just want to learn to be a mechanic and work on cars.
So that's always been a passion of yours. See, there was a point in my life where I didn't want to be like a grease monkey. I just wanted to build cool shit. I didn't necessarily want to be doing oil changes and changing shocks and stuff like that, you know?
I think at that time, like, I'm glad that my parents kind of said, hey, maybe think about that some more. What other like career path could you think about? And so then I was into taking photos of cars because I was taking photos of my car to post on the forums at the time. And so I was like, well, all right, I'll be a car photographer. That's a job. And so then that's like what I went to college for was photography until the StanceWorks thing got big enough and important enough that I was like, no, I'm going to drop out and move to California and do this full time.
That's so cool. So you guys had a forum attached to StanceWorks, and I can tell you that when we started Throtl, and we've pivoted many times, just like you have, StanceWorks was actually one of the forums that we scraped for used car part listings, because you guys had a very active used car part sales platform inside your forum. And so the idea of Throtl initially was to take all these forum for sale posts, bring them into one place, so you didn't have to remember all your logins. And so, but the StanceWorks one was one of the most active.
Yeah, we had a really active forum.
It was great.
Really active classifieds, especially the wheel classifieds, which like we tried to keep it organized so you could, find out or find what you wanted based on like bolt pattern and things like that. And the community was really good.
It was a bit ahead of its time, honestly.
It was a big forum for its time too, because like there are much bigger forums, but they all started a good bit earlier.
Yeah.
So we were kind of late to starting the forum. But I think, by the time like it really hit its heyday, it was, 120,000 registered users, which for a forum was big.
Yep.
And it was a really good community. It was a bunch of fun. I still feel kind of bummed that like car forums got killed by Facebook groups and Instagram. But
yeah, unfortunate.
But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, our whole business model was based off of forums, and man, when we realized they were packing them up, we're like, oh, we better pivot quick.
Yeah.
And here we are. But all right, man. So a little bit of another pivot. What are the best wheels on the market?
Best wheels that you gotta like qualify that a little bit more.
In Mike Burroughs' head, what is the most desirable wheel to you?
The one that makes your car look good.
Okay.
That's a cop-out answer. But
freaking great. No, it's not. I mean, the reality is there isn't one wheel that
There's not. I mean,
that looks good on everything. Or
it's tough because people ask me all the time, or I've had more people than I can count offer to like, oh, hey, we'll design and cut whatever wheel you want. You could have a custom wheel on your car.
Sure.
It's like that doesn't have a lot of appeal to me. I really love just like the heritage and like finding those old parts and pieces and whatnot and like repurposing them. What have you? You get.
This is what I wanted to hear from you, because I had a feeling this is the way you were going to go with it. You could say, "Oh, Volk TE37 looks good on most cars," or E88 looks great on most cars. Yes, that's true. But finding an old vintage set of wheels that you can disassemble, take apart, refinish in your taste, relip them, resize them.
I mean, for me, like I genuinely think wheels are like the most important aesthetic part of a car. Like
Agreed.
They tell everybody what you want the car to be from like a kind of attitude, aesthetic, ethos standpoint. Like it says so much about what you want other people to perceive your car as. And like I think that's an important way to communicate amongst us car guys. Like if you show up with a Skyline on X wheel versus Y wheel, doesn't matter what it is, your decision in wheel and what you've decided to put on that car tells everybody else exactly what you want that car to be. Yep. It builds that first impression. And like, it's not so much that you care what other people think about your car, but you get to build what that first impression's going to be. You get to decide what the statement you're going to make when they see it for the first time is.
Yeah.
And so,
man, that's a deep answer.
For me, wheels are so critically important to any car, and there's never been one wheel that just is always like, that's the one. Every single project comes with some form of like, all right, what is the right wheel for this car? And sometimes you can't get it right. Like I could not begin to count how many different sets of wheels I've put on my E36 that I've had for 19 years now. I've put every wheel that I could possibly want to put on it so far.
Is it in the 10s, 20s, 30s? Like, is it that many?
It's probably had 20 sets of wheels on it. and each set has been something that's like genuinely respectable.
Yeah.
Like every single one of them has been like cool, rare, was something unique.
That's
what
cool,
have
man.
you. And every time I'm always like, is this going to be the set? Have I finally found it? It's like, no, not yet.
Nah.
I'm still working on it.
Dang. So for the F40, have you already selected a wheel for that car?
So for the F40, it's been interesting. Initially, I thought, okay, I want to run the LM wheels, the 18-inch LM wheels.
Such a good look.
Because they
are
look
NKs?
great. Yeah, NKs. Yeah. And then I was like, well, there's already a bunch of those out there. Like, that's what every
people
F40
are
run.
expecting to see, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, I don't want to do that. And then I actually have a set of BBS E19s that is what was run on the F40 GTE cars.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of the like thumbnails that I have for the episodes, you can see those in there. I think they've been
those
in some
are
of
the
episodes.
mesh ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those are really cool. But again, I can hop online and see a ton of those already because that's what the race cars ran.
Yep.
And I don't want to just build what already was. Like, that there's no point to that.
So question, they're center locks.
Yes.
So that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in the availability of a wheel.
It does.
So being that you've chosen to run 458, is it Challenge?
Yeah, Challenge
hubs?
Evo.
Is there a lot of options for those center lock hub assemblies, or is it basically minimal?
As far as like available wheels that could go on that hub?
Yeah, I'm not saying obviously you could have something custom made, but
yeah, I mean, there's pretty much, I would assume there's probably whatever the factory center lock wheel is. It's kind of like a split spoke mesh style thing. I'm sure there's probably some like E88 variant that could go on there. And I'm sure somebody else out there makes something. I mean, people have modified those cars, but in trying to decide what would go on my F40, the first step that I did is I did bid on a set of wheels off of I think they were a GTE, but they were like the really cool split 6 spokes. It almost kind of looks like an RPF 01.
Okay.
But think of it as like a precursor to that.
Yeah.
And I won the auction, and it was a no reserve auction, and then the guy just wouldn't agree to it.
He didn't make enough money off it.
Right. And I was like, okay, cool, dude, thanks.
Not cool.
So that one went out the window. But I did a lot of thinking about it, and I actually went to HRE for the project and said, hey, I want to build something for this car. Here's the criteria that I have. Here's what's important to me. And that was, one, I want something that is like really high quality, really well built. I'm building like the best fucking car that I can.
Yeah.
I won't settle for anything less.
There's no
than
compromise here. Yeah.
2, it has to like match what I'm after. I don't want what feels like a new wheel on the car.
Right.
Like, I don't want it to look, like if we go to SEMA this year, we will find an F40 somewhere there, and it will have a new modular wheel on it that, in my opinion, is not going to look good. It's not going to
probably a street wheel of some sort.
Yeah, it's not going to be the part. And so I said, what I'm doing here, like, obviously the engineering is paramount, but the aesthetics and the importance of those aesthetics cannot be overstated. Like, it has to look the part, and I want this to feel like a wheel that could have been on this car in 1994, plus or minus a few degrees, right?
That.
Like, it has to look the part. And then I kind of put forth the parameters of what I wanted it to fit like and what I was doing, and it needs to be basically F40 LM sizing, but it's got to fit on 458 Challenge Evo hubs, and I'm going to run these brakes. And of course, the team over there said, no problem. And so...
wow, so this is going to have HREs on it.
So yeah, the car will have HREs on it. And what's really cool is, like, of
That's
course,
awesome.
they brought out the NDAs and said, all right, here's what we can really do with this. We want to bring our best technology to this project. Like, we see this as the top of the top. This is kind of the coolest thing we're going to be involved with anytime soon. Let's make the coolest thing we can. And so that's, like, to me, that feels like an opportunity, right?
I'm at a loss for words right now. That is amazing. I remember when we met, we were sitting at the conference table inside the HRE conference
Exactly.
room.
And what's fun is,
so
like,
you've gone back there full circle, and they're going to basically do a bespoke wheel for your project.
Exactly. And so I think it'll
Dreams, man.
I think it'll be really fun. It feels like the right team to partner with, especially with the history. So for like the backstory of people that don't know, when we met, it was Andrew, Ben, and I coming to HRE and saying, hey, we think you guys should do this vintage series of wheels.
That's right.
This would be really cool. You should celebrate your history. Here are some design ideas. Like, go forth.
Yep.
And after a handful of meetings, you guys said, let's do this. Yeah. And as far as I understand, it was very successful too.
Bro, there's on the other side of this drywall, there is a set of that series wheels on a Ferrari that the world is going to see at Monterey in just a few weeks' time. So, man, thank you for mentioning that, because I completely forgot that that was part of the reason why we met.
Yeah.
Like, I was so wrapped up in the marketing and getting those wheels to the finish line with Patrick and the team over there that I forgot that StanceWorks is partially the reason why that even happened.
Yeah, I mean, I the other day I even came across, because, I mean, obviously I'm working on content for our stuff and trying to do the storytelling. I found all the original rendering drawings. This was like before 3D stuff for Andrew. He did all of these Illustrator drawings of, you know, the green Lambo that had the Liberty Walk Lambo, that wound up having the kind of Diablo style wheels. Yep. So like that got drawn up before that car got put together. And then there was the red 458 that had the kind of 505 style wheels on it. Yep. And just all of these different drawings that said, hey, this is what this could look like.
You guys need to do this.
Yeah. And yeah, I remember
it has been wildly successful too.
And that's what we want, is to come to, you know, a company and say, hey, here's this idea, run with it.
They haven't forgotten about that, have they?
No, there's no chance. And I think that's why they're excited to work on this project.
It's so
you know?
Great, man.
And it's
I'm proud of HRE, and I'm proud of you, man. That's so awesome.
No, I appreciate that. And I'm excited for it. It's like, it's kind of like almost a homecoming type of thing, where it's like, that was really the first big thing that we did once I moved out to California. So to be back and working with HRE again is exciting. To be given the kind of chance to like do some experimental stuff and really kind of push the limits, and to just build a wheel for what I'm hopeful is some version of the ultimate car to me.
Yeah, sure.
I think it'd be cool.
You should hold yourself in high regard, because I can tell you I worked there for a number of years, and the only people that have ever gotten custom wheels, well, I shouldn't say the only people. A lot of people got custom wheels from HRE, but the only people that have a wheel that has their name on it is basically the Ring brothers, I think. Maybe one or two others that are escaping me at the moment, but you've come a long way, dude. That's pretty awesome.
I appreciate it. It's fun.
All right, man. Well, if you had $5,000 and zero connections in the automotive industry, how would you break into the scene today?
$5,000.
If you had $5,000 to your name and you were hell bent on making waves in the automotive scene today, what would you do?
That's tough, because I have made the argument many times lately that you cannot really effectively buy anything cool anymore for under $10,000. It's really hard to do. It can be done, but it's hard. It's really hard. And so if we're talking about including the purchase price of a vehicle, that's a tough one. But I'm gonna do my best to answer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Have fun.
$5,000.
It doesn't mean you have to buy a car. You could buy a set of used wheels and make them rad and put them out there. I mean, that's a simple answer. But
Okay. So, like, really kind of get abstract with it.
You could.
I mean, honestly, I think, okay, if I'm going to approach the problem that way, $5,000, you could easily buy every tool that you need to build almost anything. So, like, the TIG welder that I use every single day, that was off of Craigslist. It was like $1,800 for a Dynasty, for the water cooler, the tank, the torch, and
that's a come up.
It's a come up. It's a very good come up. But it's out there, and it was the second time it happened, because Riley did the exact same thing when he got his TIG welder.
No way.
And then I was kind of bragging about this to my buddy Ryan, and he was like, that'll never happen for anybody else. And then he finds on Craigslist out here in California a guy that's got brand new in the box, still factory sealed. Exact same setup. Dynasty 200, water cooler, the Bluetooth pedal,
need
the torch, everything. And he was like, hey, if you come give me $3,000 for this, it's yours. And this was like, I don't know, $9,000 worth of stuff. So like, if you're patient, you can find that stuff. Under $2,000, you can have more or less the baddest welder. Like, it'll do anything that you need it to do.
And then, so that leaves you another $3,200.
Yeah, you can get, like your grinders and, all your hand tools, all that kind of stuff, easy. And then just kind of like the basic fab tools. Like you can get yourself a really simple basic fab table. You don't have to have a whole fixture table. Yeah. You can have a setup in your garage for $5,000 that you could dive in and learn to do anything.
Yep.
And then once you have those base talents, you can begin doing that for other people. And once you do it for other people and you got some money coming in, then you can start doing it for yourself. And then you can build something that's your own business card and show other people like, hey, this is what I can do, or this is what I'm about.
Yeah.
And I think
that's cool
to use Riley, and for people that don't know who I'm talking about, Riley Stair, he lives up in Sacramento, like one of my absolute best friends, the most talented fabricator I know.
He's wicked talented.
That's his story right there. Is like, he wanted to build a crazy car, that Trans Am that he has.
Insane.
His resources were limited. He built that entire thing in literally like a carport attached to the side of his parents' house.
It's so popular that it became a Hot Wheel, I believe, right?
It is a Hot Wheels car, yeah. I mean, this machine is incredible. You can drive that car in Forza Motorsport.
It's like this high off the ground.
Oh, yeah. It's complete. Moving that car around was the bane of my existence for the 2 years we were together.
I hate to hear that, but...
but he built that entire car in literally like a lean-to on the side of his parents' house with tools that he bought all secondhand. And he built that machine over the course of 2 years to show the world, this is what I can do. And he took it to SEMA, and he rocked the world. And now he has a very successful shop up in Sacramento that it's like, if you want him to build a car for you, man, you better come with big six figures.
Bags of cash.
Bags of cash, a truckload of cash. And you better be willing to wait because there's a bunch of other people that want that too. Yeah.
So I remember that year vividly. I believe his car was it's a Trans Am or Camaro.
It's a Trans Am.
It's a Trans Am, and it was in the Vibrant booth, I believe.
It was 2018.
Because he used a lot of their products for the build. And I remember being at SEMA, and it's always, you get through the first day, and it's always, you start hearing whispers like, hey, you need to run over to this booth and check out this because it has this, and this. I remember hearing many times after the first day, you need to go to Vibrant and check out the Trans Am.
It was the car of the show, without question.
I would say you're 100% correct. So I remember I actually went back and looked at it 2 or 3 times because you look at it and there's a lot to take in. He did so much. There's so many details and so many things he did right on that car that I would like, I wonder how he did that. I don't remember seeing that. I'd go back and, oh, wow, he nailed that.
Yeah.
And just that whole car was just crushed out of the park. Does it still exist?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a version of it still exists. I don't want to share too much because I don't know what I'm allowed to share, but he's reinventing that car right now.
Wow.
Not for anybody to see it. Like, I don't know that you'll ever get to see it again unless you show up at a racetrack. But every single step that car has taken, you have to understand Riley is he's the most hardcore guy that I know, especially when it comes to just his fixation on his craft and improvement. And he wants that car to be as fucking good as he can make it.
So it's an extension of him, basically.
It is. And
that's where you've picked that up from, huh? For your F40. I feel like you sort of have the same mentality.
I literally, on the way down here, I was on the phone with him and we were talking about bending those A-pillars and because that's what he does day in and day out.
That's basically next for you.
And I'm partway through them. I'm going to finish the other one today.
Gotcha.
But I was telling him that dude, 99% of this for me is saying, all right, would Riley settle for this the way that I have it? Or what would Riley do in this situation?
Bro, you need to make those little wristbands that say
WWRD. Yeah, 100%.
Snap yourself with that thing.
He is such a source of inspiration. And the caliber that he holds himself and his work to, I want to be clear. I'll never be there. I don't have what he has. But I'm going to use it as inspiration, right? Good. I'm going to call upon it and use that to push myself. But yeah, he's redoing that whole car, and it's going to be so much better than it ever was, especially from a performance standpoint. It's for example, when that car went to SEMA that year, it was 3,300 and some odd pounds. Not a lightweight car, but it's a big steel car.
There's a shitload of bars in that thing.
A ton of bars.
Yeah.
And the amount of weight that he has pulled out of that car at this point is staggering. It now weighs
Really?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like,
so he put it on a diet, but how do you know how he went about it? Did he remove a lot of
everything?
Okay.
Every part of that car has been. There's no
so
part of that car.
He blew it apart and redid.
The entire for everything from the firewall forward and the rear bulkhead back has been completely cut off and removed. I don't know if that's public information. I'm sorry if it's not, Riley, but like that car is completely cut apart.
That's an undertaking.
And then like everything inside of the car, he cut. I mean, every single aspect. He's taking everything that he's learned from all the other cars that he's built in the time since, and he's making that car as just perfect as he can and as lightweight and as well engineered, and every part that he can at this point is like billet, and just try to make it all lightweight.
Next level.
Oh, I mean, it's a work of art.
There wasn't a lot of billet in the beginning, right?
No, everything was steel.
Yeah.
Everything was, his uprights were steel.
So now he's going back. He's probably learned how to do some CAD stuff.
Oh, he's a CAD monster now. And like, I mean, he's unstoppable. That car is going to be incredible.
He's rubbing off on you, dude.
Oh, I mean,
good.
I'll take any bit of inspiration and knowledge that I could absorb from him. Like if I could just squeeze him in, like, I don't know, osmosis. Whatever.
I need to meet this guy.
He's incredible. Put him in this seat. Talk to him for a few hours. He's like one of the most incredible people I've ever met.
If he's down, I will. That's cool.
You'll have to wait for him to like deliver a customer car down here, but you should do it.
Yeah, too easy. Do you think you've been overlooked in the industry? Are you exactly where you want to be?
No, I don't think that I've ever been overlooked. No, I don't think that that's ever something that's been like, that's crossed my mind. I think that I'm very happy with where I'm at. I tell people regularly that if I won the $1 billion lotto tomorrow, I wouldn't quit what I'm doing. I would just have more money in the bank account. But my life wouldn't really change. I mean, obviously I'd have a lot more means to do things. I could afford to own a house. That'd be cool, but
that's not easy to do in California. Let's be honest.
I wouldn't change what I'm doing. I'm grateful for the things that I have. I'm happy with where I'm at. I'm proud of what I've accomplished.
Okay.
I know who I am. I know what I'm about. Like, I look forward to like waking up every morning and getting to do what I do. I feel very fortunate in that regard. And I feel lucky, when I look at where my business is at right now, which is a YouTube channel, and I think about the audience that I've put together and the fact that they're willing to come back and watch episode after episode after episode of the same car, which is a lot to ask of people.
Yeah,
I can tell maybe they're getting a little bit tired of some stuff, but like they come back because they're interested in seeing what I'm doing and my process, and they're willing to like learn with me. They're willing to learn from me. And they're like engaged and invested in seeing my projects through. Like that's a really cool and special place to be. I'm really grateful for it because I know that most other automotive YouTubers have to have their content look very different from mine because what I'm doing it's not the right way to do it from a business perspective. Like from a let's call it like content business perspective. Like I know that you guys can look at your analytics and say, we need to have only X number of episodes on a project, 6 episodes, 8 episodes total, maybe, or 1. And I remember, like, I was talking to JP from Germany.
Yep.
And when I told him I have 150 episodes on my 308 build so far, and he couldn't believe it. He was like, we can't do more than 6 or 8 episodes on a single project, or that's it. And it's like, that's tough. And they do.
But it's because the audience that JP cultivated, it's the audience that Throtl cultivated. You've cultivated an audience of almost 500,000 people now, which is pretty remarkable. That is willing to stay around for the ride.
Yeah,
they want to see you bend that one A-pillar bar,
and I'm lucky
because you've built that.
And that's comes back to what I was saying. I want to make sure I'm making the content that I want to make. I'd rather have a smaller audience that is there for what I'm doing, and so like. Will I ever hit 1 million? I don't know. It's not what's important. I want to just make sure that I have a dedicated audience of people that know exactly what they're going to come to my channel to get, and they're excited and they're grateful to have it, and I'm grateful to be making it, and we're all stoked.
The most important thing, man, is that one, you don't let the comments get to your head.
That's impossible.
I know. I noticed that about you. You always address the comments. It's one thing that here we don't always address them, and it's because it can become cumbersome, and it can really mess with your psyche, honestly.
It can.
But also addressing it sometimes feels good as well, because you have a reason why you're doing everything, so do address it. I feel that way.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, we have to just take the high road.
There's a lot that you can't address. If I had to express a sentiment about that, I think a lot of people will comment and they'll be like, "Dude, don't engage with like the negative comments or what have you.
You don't owe us an explanation.
Yeah, and it's like, well, I know I don't have to explain this, but I want to. I want you guys to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. There's an answer or a reason, and like this channel isn't just about the how, it's the why. Like that's so much of what I'm here to do. So, like I could just show you how to do X, Y, or Z, but like I want to talk about why I've decided to do it. And I think a lot of people sometimes mistake wanting to have an interaction with the audience on the level of explanation. They mistake that as like negativity or like justifying, when it's like, well, the positive comments, they're not asking for an explanation, or they're not critical of something, or they're not doubting the path that we're all on together. I mean, if you're invested in, 15 hours of episodes so far, like you might want an explanation for why I'm doing something. You might feel entitled to that. And I don't know that you're entitled to it, but I'm here on this journey with you, and I might want to say, hey, actually, here's why I didn't do that, or here's why I want to get rid of direct injection on this engine. Even if you think that's really stupid to do, here's a lot of reasons why I've thought about it and why I'm doing that.
It's funny because I know that's one of the sticking points for your series. And I even came in here 2 days ago, and I was talking to Quinn. He's sort of our lead tech here. About that, Mike's removing direct injection off of the Ferrari engine that he chose, and Quinn's very in tune with engines and things like that. So I was asking him, like, what do you think about this? And so he actually had the same outlook on it as you do. He's like, yeah, there's really no benefit to it if you're going to run E85. It's might as well just remove it and clean up the engine and go to an ITB setup and build it the way he wants to build it. And I'm like, okay, well, that's exactly what he said.
Yeah, and I mean, like, if we want to dive into that, like, there's a lot of reasons that Ferrari put DI on that engine. Yeah, but a lot of people have to understand what those reasons are.
You have to be able to put license plates on them.
Exactly. And when we think about what we can gain from removing it and how much more user-friendly that car becomes, that in and of itself, above everything else, is like where that's what makes the most sense to me.
Then you throw E85 in the mix, and none of it's an issue anymore.
And also, I want 12 individual throttle bodies sitting on top of that engine.
That's the biggest picture, right?
And like, could you do that with DI? Yeah, but no. We're gonna go to port injection, make life way easier, and it's gonna be sick.
And it's gonna sound amazing. ITBs. Chef's kiss. All right, Mike. Do you think stance culture ruined more cars than it improved? And look, I'm not putting this on your shoulders.
That's okay.
I'm just asking the question.
So like, I'm gonna preface that one by saying I have to be so careful here. Hate is such a strong word. I'm so disappointed with what quote unquote stance culture became.
Turned into,
It began as something to say, hey, aesthetics of your car matter. That's really all it ever was, right? It's like, we go back and we look at the way that people were setting up cars before this ever happened, and it was like, you remember making fun of cars on forums would be like, oh, that car has like battleship stands, it's just sunken wheels. You remember that? And like,
for sure.
Nobody put the thought and the effort into like, how can a wheel and tire package fit a car and make it that much better? We already talked about wheels are the most important thing you're going to do to a car.
It makes or breaks a car.
And so, and part of that is, how does the car sit around those wheels and tires? And what does it tell people about what you're here to do? It can tell so much about your car.
And another step further from that is functionality.
Absolutely.
As far as if you can get, first of all, visually the right wheel and tire package on it, but then also make it perform while looking good. So meaning low, wide, but you get your full radius of turning. You get your whole droop and sweep of your suspension path.
You want it to work. And
but I think a lot of people throw that shit out the window.
Yeah,
for the look.
They do. And none of us want a car that just doesn't work. But to that end, there's also room to have aesthetics play more importance than outright performance, where it's like, I know that we've both had cars that rub over those big bumps, or if you put people in the back of it, and it's like, it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. And
because it looks sick.
Exactly. And I want to be careful with this analogy, but I'm hopeful that it makes sense. It's 2025. Hopefully this one doesn't get me in trouble. But I equate that to a woman in high heels. She can't run in them.
Right.
But that's not the point of them.
Right.
The point is
to look good.
Is to look good.
Yeah.
And it's okay to have a pair of running shoes, and it's okay to have a pair of high heels or what have you for your car. It's like, to me,
that's a great analogy.
I think that a lot of people forgot that, like, it doesn't always have to be running shoes or cleats or what have you. Like, it's okay to have dress shoes, high heels, you know, to look good.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to the track, you can put on the running shoes. That part's okay. You're allowed to do that. There's room for that.
It's okay.
But as far as like stance culture goes, and did it ruin more cars? Like, it ruined a lot of cars. It ruined a lot of cars for sure.
It did.
I like to imagine that.
I'm not putting that on you, by the way.
I don't take it that way. It's not on me.
No, it's not. But with StanceWorks, I mean, a lot of the mantra was that, but you've explained now that what your intention was of that.
I can look back at every car. Let me be careful. There is, as far as I can remember, only one car out of the, I don't know, thousands of cars that we featured over the course of a decade that I don't like and would point back to and say, like, I wish that one wasn't on the site.
Ah, wow. Only
and
one.
It's only one that I can think of.
That's thousands.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars.
Plenty
Plenty of them at this point you could look at and be like, you could say, oh, yeah, it's a bit dated, or like, yeah, I wouldn't do it that way this time. But like, I'm proud of the StanceWorks archive and what it put forth towards car culture and stance culture. And I think that I've always been a believer that if you're going to complain about the car community in any aspect, whatever it may be, if you're like, you don't get to complain if you're not putting in effort to steer the ship the way you want it to go.
Yeah, sure.
And I really didn't like it when people would complain about any of it, but they're consuming. And it's like, nah, StanceWorks is here. Yeah. We're here putting forth article after article after article to help steer this whole ship in a way that we think is the way to go. And so if I go back and I look at those StanceWorks archives, I'm really proud of them. I'm proud of what Andrew and I put forth for so long and all the effort that we put in, because every car on there has stance in some form, but I don't like that word became kind of a dirty word.
Yeah.
Because every car has stance to it, you know?
Sure.
And that's where that word began. And
yeah, it has become sort of a negative connotation because there has been some bad apples.
Because of those ruined cars.
Yeah, it's the ruined cars. Great answer.
Thank you.
Full circle answer. I love it. So what's your take on EV swaps? Are they future-proof or soulless?
I don't believe that they're soulless. I think that they're cool. So I have this like juxtaposed view on them. Like, I don't have a huge interest in making an EV swapped car. It's not what gets me excited about cars.
Same.
I like the sounds and the visceralness and what have you. However, I do firmly believe that we are conditioned to appreciate these sounds. And if we go all the way back to the horse and buggy, and then some guy comes putting up in his car for the first time, nobody was like, that thing sounds sick. They were like, that's racket, that's annoying.
Right.
Buzz off, we're going to be here with our horses. Our real form of transport that we've been using for thousands of years. And they probably said, piss off with your newfangled technology, go rattle and take that rattle trap somewhere else, you know?
Right.
And I think that like there's something to be said in that same mindset where we're so entrenched in our ways and we think that, like, let's say performance sounds a certain way. When I hear a Formula E car ripping around a track, I don't hear that and think that's performance.
This is so exciting.
But it's so much that I think is also conditioning, because if we look at what the most, I don't want to say on paper, but like if we look at what performance looks like right now, and you take, for example, the Rimac Nevera, I think it's called, Nevera R, that thing now holds every record that's possible from a performance standpoint that doesn't need an extended time to accomplish it. It doesn't hold the Nürburgring lap record for 6 odd minutes, but anything that you can use as a performance metric, it has wiped the floor with. It has reestablished what 0 to 60, and it's full electric car, and it like any from 0 to whatever speed that you want and back to 0, it will wipe the floor with anything else that's ever been built.
Have you seen the McMurtry?
That's another one. Yeah. That is redefining what speeds around a circuit can look like. And then we look at Pikes Peak. It is ruled by electric cars. Because of
the elevation.
Because of the elevation. But those are still parameters that everybody else has to work within. And so these electric cars and the performance that they're bringing we're at the beginning. We're at the very beginning of it. We're only 10 years into performance electric cars even being a thing people care like are putting effort into. So
it's the precipice for sure. And I think that honestly hybrid technology is so cool.
Hybrid technology is sick.
I don't have a whole lot of interest in EV swaps just like you, but I think hybrid technology, I think Toyota in general is doing a really good job with that. It gives you kind of the best of both worlds. You can still hear an engine.
Yeah.
You still get the acceleration of an electric motor.
I think
obviously Ferrari's done a great job. Porsche's done a great job.
Oh, I mean, if we look at hybrid technology, it is the peak of performance, even with, I mean, like Formula One, you know, I mean, like, or LMDH. I mean, any of these cars, hybrid technology is here. It's where it's at. It's where it's at. For me, I don't get excited when I hear an electric car, but I respect it because I know that somewhere in there, and I'm going to use the Rimac again as an example, especially because he's a BMW guy. There somewhere in there is somebody that says, I'm going to ignore the sound for a minute. I want to make the fastest car, the best car that I can, the most insane thing. I want to build something that is unlike and is better than anything else that anybody's ever done. And he did it. And it's like, is it how I would go about it? No, but I'm also entrenched in my ways. So I have to acknowledge that and acknowledge my biases. And I try to keep an open mind about the electric thing. I'm hopeful that at some point, somewhere along the line, something will change my opinion, or like maybe I don't know. Like, I don't want to focus too much on the sound because it feels like a cop-out answer, but that's really all that's left is like the sound and the smell, right? Like
that's the
visceral experience of how hard it's going to shove you into that seat and like rip your face fat back. That part's already solved. So at some point, is there one that's going to make a sound where I'm like, maybe it won't be what I think it will be, but is it going to send those shivers down my spine and make me say, oh fuck, that's nuts.
We haven't gotten there yet.
But I'm hopeful that it will. I'm hopeful that it will, and I'm going to optimistically look forward to it.
Same. I just hope the infrastructure and all that stuff that goes along with the electric cars can sustain.
Of course.
So what's the most overrated car platform in the scene right now? You're obviously into Ferraris, BMWs, but is there a mark out there that you don't tinker with because you feel like it's just a scene points car or mark chassis?
No, I mean, I think everybody's like into something because it means something to them, right? Like there's, different strokes for different folks. And there's like cars that I just don't get. Like the one that people joke with me pretty often about is the Lexus SC 300 and 400.
Okay.
And I think also a Soarer or whatever you want to call it.
Soarer in Japan.
That car, to me, I just don't get. It is like the frumpiest, ugliest looking thing I've ever seen. And it's
have you ever watched Ambiguously Gay Duo?
No, I haven't heard of this one.
It's a cartoon from a long time ago, but they had a car that they drove on it. And if you watch the show, you know what I'm talking about. That's what it looks like to me. You'll have to check it out.
I'm going to check it out. It's, to me, like I look at this car and it's just like, it is the most grandmother car. I think if it didn't have a Lexus badge on it and instead it had a Lincoln badge, people would be like, oh yeah, that's a Mark 7 or something.
Nailed it.
Like, I just don't get it. But you know what? For some people, that thing is amazing and they love it and whatever.
I'm with you.
And like, I'm very transparent. I don't like round cars. So like, I'm an E36 guy, not an E46 guy. I wouldn't have anything to do with an E46. I don't want one. I've never wanted one. I'm not ever going to own one. So if you were into
Skylines, R33 would be the worst car.
It's not the one I like. Yeah. But I go to the far end. I like the DR30. That's the one that I like most. And then an R31 following that. Yeah. R32, R34.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are a handful of Skylines, absolute bucket list cars for me. I want one at some point. Absolutely. I mean, I
wasn't expecting that answer from you.
I would put a white R32 GTR on the short list of cars that I would really, really like to own. I don't know when I think the biggest thing is like, I don't know when I'll have the resources to put into one and how I'll get it to be what I want it to be at the same time, while like I don't have a huge desire to own one and not wind up making it into some just big project because everything else already been done.
The 32 platform is so good and you will want to make it a race car. That's what's going to happen.
I believe it.
Yeah.
But as far as like platforms go that just like I just don't get, I don't know. I mean, like I have a pretty big bias against Tesla, and so when I see like hot rodded Teslas, even though I know that they can be fast, I'm just like, that ain't it, dude. Like, no thanks.
This is going to be an offbeat one here for you. But how is the Honda motor in your first Ferrari project better than the Ferrari motor that you've chosen for the F40?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, that factory engine, if you're not into the idea of Honda swapping a Ferrari, and for those that don't know, I have a 81 Ferrari 308 GTB-I that I've put a K20 into. It's a time attack race car.
It's epic. Look it up.
The original V8 in that car, for all intents and purposes, it's a 3-liter V8. Mine was a 2-valve engine with CIS fuel injection. That's what the GTB-I stands for. I started with the worst version of that car, minus it being a target top. I had to have a coupe. So that engine is factory rated. It's like 202 horsepower.
Before you go any further, does that make that car more affordable? Or is it still, it doesn't matter what engine's in it?
It didn't really help, no. I mean, like, I paid $62 for that car when I bought it, and it was showroom perfect. Yeah, it was it was nicest car that I had owned up to that point, maybe even still. And it was the second cheapest one I could find worldwide.
Wow.
And it just happened to be nice. I didn't want it to be nice, but it was just like,
yeah, you're going to rip it apart.
I needed a coupe, and that was the second cheapest coupe I could find on earth.
So what made the Ferrari engine or the Honda engine better than that?
Okay, so V8. One, that V8 makes no power. It makes literally less power than a stock K series. So
that's worse than like the 80s Corvettes.
And if you do the like 20% drivetrain loss,
yeah,
we put the car on a dyno. It made 163 at the wheels. It's literally exactly like 20% or 17% or whatever it was. Like
painful.
Healthy motor, 163 horsepower in a car that weighed 3,200 pounds. Not a lightweight car for such a small car. It didn't go anywhere. And then people think, oh, the sound of the soul. They think about a Ferrari V8 sounding like a 355.
Yeah.
This V8 and this 308, like, it sounds good. It doesn't sound bad, but it doesn't sound remarkable. It just sounds like a vintage overhead cam V8.
And you're going nowhere fast.
And you're not going to go anywhere, and it's insanely expensive. Can you make power with those engines? You can. It shares its DNA with the F40 motor. Like, you can bolt some turbos onto it and do stuff. Good luck if you pop it.
Yeah.
And then most importantly for me, I wanted to make a race car. That engine, fully dressed with the transmission and its accessories, when I pulled it out of the car, was 850 pounds. Now, that's with all of its accessories and everything to make it do its things.
Yeah.
850 pounds. My car is still full steel body minus the hood because I needed a ducted hood for my cooling stack. But it's a complete steel body. It still has its power windows. It's got glass in the doors, glass in the back. It has a Lexan windshield because I accidentally broke the front window removing it.
Oh, shit.
But like otherwise, it's still like a full weight car, so to speak, and it weighs 2,400 pounds now. Okay. So it's 800 pounds less than it was.
Almost 1,000 pounds.
And that's with a ton of accessories in it now that like you wouldn't need if like I think that the K series recipe in a 308 for a street car would be incredible. Like a really nice, whether it was turbo or NA, like you could have a 300 horsepower NA
ITB setup in there. Would be brilliant.
It would be a rocket ship, especially if you trimmed some weight out elsewhere.
Good.
It would. It would sound really good. So for me, I wanted an engine that was lightweight, that was reliable. Had some trouble at first, but we've gotten there now.
I was going to say, it's no surprise to your audience that you've been through some trials and tribulations with the K-Series engine, which isn't abnormal. But we've got one sitting in this car here that makes 550 wheel on stock rods and pistons. And
oh, wow.
Works great.
Together.
Yeah.
Does that car try to vibrate itself apart?
No.
Mine won't stop doing that.
Oh, I use Corolla 8.6 mounts in it.
I need to re-engineer my mounts. But yeah, I wanted an engine that had like all of its problems solved already. Like if I ran into some issue, like the R&D is already out there. The aftermarket support's there. I wanted something that was like affordable. It's like I can replace my engine if I blow it up for $10,000. Not to say that $10,000 isn't a lot of money, but that's more than the used up old engine that I pulled out of the car was.
That makes a fraction.
That makes 160 horsepower. I can get a complete, cover to pan replacement engine that's going to make all the power I need for less than what I'd have to just buy some used old Ferrari motor for. So it's just, to me, it made sense, and that's why I went with it.
I love that answer. And that was kind of what I was curious about. I watched your video on the F40 where you weighed the new engine that you're using in that. And I was actually shocked at the weight of that.
Yeah, 400. I think it was like 440 pounds, something like that.
That's great for that car.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the car will wind up being, the F40 will wind up being like, I'm just saying 2,500 pounds.
I think it's very achievable.
I think I'll have to like be careful, but I think that it should be doable.
I think if you're trying to get down below 2,500 is where you're going to have to stretch, but I think you can hit 2,500, 2,600 pounds. And that thing's going to be a rocket ship.
Hopefully.
At that weight.
It should be, I mean, you think about how fast an 812 is, and I don't know, what's that car weigh?
It's probably super fast.
Almost 4,000 pounds. It is super fast. So I'm hopeful it'll be, a real weapon when it's done. I want it to be a track car.
Yeah.
I absolutely intend on taking it out, whether it's to grid life events or track events. Like that car, I'm really hopeful will be a real spectacle to get to see and hear.
It's going to be.
And, being in Southern California, we encounter F40s with some frequency. I mean, like even from my shop, there's probably 3 or 4 of them within a few miles that I kind of have like access to if I need to like look at one for something. But most car enthusiasts, they'll come up to me and say, I've never even seen one before or what have you. Or
seen once in their lifetime,
Yeah, maybe it'll be in a museum, or they're certainly not going to get to like see one rip. And so to have this car and have it get to be modified and wild and fun, and to get to go to a track and get to hear it rip around and do its things, or hopefully like put a passenger seat in it and give some ride-alongs, things like that. Like give people an experience where it's like, where else are you going to get to see an F40 do this kind of stuff outside of maybe a vintage race? I've been to a lot of vintage races, and I've never seen an F40 do laps. So,
really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I'm trying to think if I have. I don't think I have either. But that leads me to my next question. So once the F40's done and you've signed up for grid life and you've got the car sorted out, what happens to the other car? What happens to the other Ferrari?
That's a fair question. So my hope is that I don't have to sell that car in order to fund the F40, but that's kind of like that's the backup plan.
Yeah.
Everything
totally
has a price.
Yeah.
What would somebody pay for that car? Probably not a lot, but
you might be surprised. You've got it mainly sorted now, right? Like for the most part.
I think once I have the 244, not only able to rely, it feels pretty sorted now. All the problems that we're having are like pretty minor. Once it can turn laps reliably, and then I think I need to make it a bit more competitive. So just like, not that I think somebody would buy it to go compete, but it's like, hey, this thing can go out and
it can be fast,
it can do the things.
Yeah, for sure.
Prove what it's capable of, then maybe. But I'm not going to worry about it yet. I don't want to have to sell the car. I'd like to have both cars, and like I think it'd be pretty sick if I could make a match with like matching liveries or something. It'd be pretty sick. But
dude, I could see the Hot Wheels set already with the little transporter with the 2 Ferraris.
Hot Wheels, if you're listening, please.
Let's go.
But as far as what happens with it, I think that they will certainly serve 2 different purposes. The 244 Honda swapped car is a race car. Like people ask me at this point, like, well, why don't you drive it on the street? And they don't understand that it's like you can't drive it on the street.
Yeah, it's a race car through and through.
It's like completely undrivable in that form. The F40, it's not going to be a lot better, but I'm hopeful that it's at least somewhat better in terms of...
You have ambition to street drive that car or no?
I would like to street drive it. Yeah. It will not be a daily driver.
Right.
It will be the type of thing, if I want to street drive it somewhere, it will be an endeavor to do it.
Cars and Coffee on a Saturday morning.
But I would be beside myself if I put all of this time and money and effort into this machine and then wind up with something I'm unwilling to try to drive on the street.
Yeah. It's a brick in the shop and only goes out to the racetrack.
Right. And
we've all been there. It sucks for the car. It sucks for you as the builder.
Yeah.
You spend so much time and effort and money to build something, and you have to look at it on your lift.
And that's what the 244 has become, for better or worse. And I've talked a little bit now that I like really feel like the car's pretty sorted and I'm comfortable in it. I've talked about like, oh, what if I drove it to Cars and Coffee or something like that? And I'll probably do it at some point. I mean, it is road registered and plated and stuff. The biggest issue is just like the splitter on the front of it and overhang and trying to drive it somewhere, but
just becomes cumbersome and not fun to drive.
Yeah.
I have a few of those myself.
But yeah, I'd like to hang on to the car. Every time I like wind up with a new project, I tell myself maybe I'm at the point in life where like I don't have to sell this project to fund the next one. I get to like start holding on to them, and that hasn't happened yet. I'm not at that milestone. I don't have it going on like that. So everything, it's like, hey, once I have an idea and I want to start on a project, something else has to go to fund it. And so hopefully
that's natural progression, brother.
Yeah.
It's not a bad thing. And the stuff you've sold, for the most part, you could reacquire. Probably.
Yeah.
None of it's unobtainium, right?
Yeah, I mean, all of them, I've learned so much that it's like I want to just build another one. You know, like I keep selling these hot rods that I build, and I really like hot rods, and I already want to build another one. And I know that I could. The guy that bought my first one has told me, hey, I'll sell it back to you for the price that you paid. Which is like, that's pretty sick. That's the first car I ever actually built, like first real custom fab project. And part of me wants to own that for posterity. Yeah. But it's also like, I know what it looks like underneath because I built it, and I could just build a better one.
Maybe do another one. But it's not the original.
It's not.
So I get this sentimental attachment for sure. Little off topic here, but if someone came up to you and asked you how they look up to you, they're, say, 12 years old, and they want to do what you do in the future, what advice do you give them?
It might not be like the most 12-year-old friendly answer, but I would say like it's important to make sure that you do what you want to do. Don't build some idea of like, I want to do what you want to do.
Or my parents think I should be a doctor.
Like, just make sure that, like, it's great if you see what I'm doing and say, that is what I want to do. But make sure that's what you want to do, not because you're seeing me do it.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, right? I see what you're saying.
Like, I know that's, like, kind of nuanced.
Put your own spin on it.
Yeah, so or don't. You don't have to. But just, like, make sure that what you're chasing is what you want to do, not because you saw me do it and you look up to me. Yeah. Right? Like, but
why do you feel like that's so important?
I think that it kind of comes back to make a content analogy out of it, which is silly, but that's what we do. So that's how my brain works. Sure. Is if I'm making an episode, I know that my episodes could get more views if I change the way that I do them. No question about it. I know that I could grow my channel faster if I change my format. But that's not what I want to do. That would be me serving the viewers. Yep. And once I do that, I'm not doing what I want to do anymore, and then it's just a job. At that point, you
might as well go work in corporate America.
Exactly. I might as well do something else entirely. And I really believe in this idea of like doing your thing for yourself. And I think that like there's nothing more powerful in some way than like having your dream job or pursuing your own dreams and being empowered to do that and like really getting to chase that. And so like I get to look at where I'm at, and we talked a moment ago about I feel so fortunate. I feel so lucky. I feel like I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I wake up, I go into my shop, and I get to work on my own cars and build crazy creations.
It's the best feeling.
It is unreal. I never thought that I'd get to be here. But I think in part I'm here because I'm chasing like exactly what I want, and it's never been about chasing the dollar. Yes. Sometimes you have to make sure that the dollar makes sense or that it works. But if I look back, you know, to your earlier question of like...
You have to think like Ben once in a while.
You have to think like Ben once in a while. But I know that I'm where I'm at now because I spent more time thinking like Andrew, my other business partner. Andrew Ritter, for those that don't know, Ritter Goods on Instagram, if I can shout him out.
He's the man,
He's one of the most talented people. He may be the most talented person that I've ever met. And he is an incredible soul. He's an incredible person.
An amazing human being.
Amazing human being. I would do anything for him, and I'd take a bullet for that guy. Yep. And one thing that's so important is that he's the polar opposite in mentality from Ben. And I don't say that to be comparative, but like Andrew is through and through. Like what I tell people about Andrew a lot, one of the things I really adore about him is that Andrew cannot be bought. You cannot buy Andrew. I like Andrew is so focused on making sure he's chasing like what it is that he really wants, and he will sacrifice the payday as a result. Right. And I want to make sure that I align myself more at that end than at this end of chasing the money. I'd rather be happy than rich. I'd rather be chasing a dream and even sometimes failing at it than sacrificing what some of that dream looks like to make more money or to like get ahead. And so I think it always comes back to Andrew and I had these regular discussions about what we were here to do and why we were doing Stance Works. And the kind of passion behind it, not wanting to be a sellout, not taking the payday that came to us time and time and time again. So many companies coming up and saying, hey, we want to advertise with you. And we're like, well, yeah, but we wouldn't run those parts. We're like not that into that brand. And it's like
not our vibe.
Not our vibe. And other people will be like, dude, what are you doing? Why are you turning that down? And it's like,
doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it's not. We don't want the money. We just like want to be. This brand is about us. This is our baby here. This is a really long answer to that question, but I think it all comes back to like I really want anybody that comes up to me for inspiration or a source of inspiration. I want them to feel empowered to do their thing, not to do what I do. If what I'm doing is what they're excited about, then perfect, cool, we have that in common. But like so much of it for me comes down to I don't want you to feel empowered to do what you're seeing me do. I want you to feel empowered to go out and learn or tackle and do whatever it is you're excited to do too. Like my philosophy in everything that I do is like, if somebody else can do something, I can learn to do it too. I don't want to put a limit on myself. That's like, well, I don't know how to do that. I can't do that.
Well, that's one thing I've learned from your YouTube channel is like you pick up a scanner, a Creaform scanner and scan stuff. You picked up a 3D printer. You picked up a mill or a lathe or something like.
Yes.
You're never not wanting to learn. Like a lot of people get stuck in their ways.
I want to learn everything.
Yeah, and that's cool. Like you have so much more capability than I do from a CAD standpoint and a hands-on standpoint with computer stuff. I just want to fab
But
stuff.
you're only days away from being able to do it too.
I know.
And that's what I want people to feel empowered to realize.
I took that away from your videos.
And so
it's working.
Yeah. So to reiterate, the kid that comes up and says like, "Hey, I want to do what you do," like, chase it. Yeah. Chase what you want to do, and don't let it go. Don't let anybody get in the way. Like, you can achieve your dreams, and I feel so silly just like saying those like silly phrases that we all hear, but like
the reality.
If you don't believe in yourself, you're definitely not going to get there. And if you don't try, no one else is going to do it for you. Right. And it's better to try and fail and realize, like, you know what? Maybe that wasn't what I want to do. Maybe I'm not cut out for it.
Try something else.
Like, I have pivoted in my career so many times to be sitting in this chair right now, and all those decisions, have changed that path. And, at one point I was dead set. I was going to be a photographer for my entire life. And I haven't really touched a camera in God knows how long.
And you're damn good at it too.
I appreciate that.
One thing I'll take away from this conversation, I want to leave this with the audience as well, is I feel like you, Mike, have surrounded yourself by really good people. I feel like and not only have you surrounded yourself with them, you've learned from them. So Riley, Andrew, these are two people that are so big in your life, but they're so good at what they do. You're able to actually absorb that and take it and apply it to your craft. That's so cool.
Love that you've said that. So I want to start by saying one of my favorite speeches that I've ever seen anybody give, and I go back and I watch it pretty regularly, is Arnold Schwarzenegger gave a commencement speech where he says, "You can call me anything you want, but don't you ever call me a self-made man." And then he goes in and he kind of talks about how he got to where he is. And people think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's like the perfect example of a quote-unquote self-made man. You know, he moved across the world and he chased these dreams and he became the strongest man in the world, or the ultimate bodybuilder. And then he became the biggest action star in the world, and he became a politician, and like he did all these things. And
all over the place.
But one thing he's really clear about is he said, every single step of the way, I had help to get here. It wouldn't have been possible to do this by myself.
Sure.
And that resonates so deeply within me. I would never want anyone to think that I am where I'm at in my life without the help of so many people around me the entire way. From like, my parents have always been so supportive and have been there to guide me and push me, to reel me in sometimes when I need it. My circle of friends, I have the best friends. Every single friend that I have is like, I've been friends with them for years and years and years. And they're always there, and they are eager to help when I need it. So and I can like lean on them in every way. And I've had so many people teach me things, and I'm not afraid to go to ask people for help, or to say, hey, I don't know how to do this. Like, can you show me? Or sometimes there's things that I don't want to learn to do. My perfect example is I don't care to learn how to build an engine. Would it be cool to do? Sure. But I don't feel a need to like set my bearing tolerances and assemble my engine.
Yeah.
it would drive me nuts. I'd worry too much about it having to be perfect, and like I wouldn't make progress on it, and it doesn't sound fun to me. That doesn't sound rewarding, other than like once it's done and it fires up, you'd be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna leave that to somebody else.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find an engine builder and be like, hey, you do that. I'm gonna build the rest of it.
Yeah, I'll get everything else sorted.
And I think it's okay to like know your limits. I also don't I took 3 years of auto body in high school. I know how to paint a car. I have shot paint in a booth.
But that's not what makes you happy.
But I don't want to do it, and I'm not going to paint my car. Could I? Sure. And sometimes I think we get caught up in like wanting to do things so we can take the credit for them and say I did it all myself.
Yeah.
And that's not what it's all about. I'd rather surround myself with talented people and people that can teach me, people that I can lean on. Where I'm at.
That's a great mindset to have. I mean, I think nobody that has been successful hasn't been surrounded by good people. It's 100% accurate.
It's all about, I think like that's probably one of the most important things that you can do as a whole is surround yourself with the right people. And, you know, I think that I've just been really, really fortunate to have great friends, great mentors, great people that have seen what I'm doing and have just believed in it. Great sponsors, like any company that I work with, I want it to be like a long, meaningful relationship. And you know,
You've got some great partners. You've got H&R, who's been with you since basically the beginning, right?
My I would say like really my first like real long-term sponsor, especially for like builds. And so Roland, may he rest in peace. He passed away earlier this year.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But he was like.
He was the founder of H&R? Or is he the R in H&R?
He was the president of, we'll call it H&R North America.
Okay.
And you know, he knew about my rusty BMW, and he asked to meet me at SEMA, and so Brian Henderson introduced us, and he sat me down. He was like, "That car you have, that thing's amazing, and I don't want to see it go away. Are you going to build it again? Are you going to like rebuild that?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like trying to do this tube chassis thing. I don't really know what I'm doing, but like I really want to." And he was like, "Let me know how to help." He's like, "I just want to see that car come back to life. I want to be, he's like, "Just imagine I'm your uncle, and I just like want to support you and bring that car back to life." And I was like, "This is crazy."
That's a good guy to know.
But you got it.
Yeah.
And he became a friend and a mentor, somebody that I could call, whether it was like, "Hey, I'm trying to figure out some suspension stuff," or "I need help on a project," or whether it was just like to call and just chat about life, you know?
That's great.
And he's the best dude. And I know there's a couple people out there that will listen to this and they'll know him and they'll be like, he was the man. But I use that and him as almost he made a problem. He set the bar really high for how I want all of my relationships with partners and sponsors to be. And I know they can't all be that way,
They're not all that way,
but they everybody that I work with they're all great brands, and you know, it's important, again, surrounding myself with the right people that see what I'm doing and they see the value in it, not just, "Oh, hey, we want your eyeballs, your audience, like to see our stuff." It's like, no, I want you to see what I'm doing, and I want you to give a shit about it, because I really give a shit about it. Like, I'm putting all of my effort into this stuff.
Yep.
I want you to care about it too.
Yeah, it's clear in your videos that you do as well. You do a really good job of propping up the people that support you and making sure they get their shine and love in the videos.
I try. It can be hard, and sometimes I feel like I flub it, or you know, could do better. But thank you.
Nah, you do good. So, what's the future of StanceWorks?
I have no clue.
Great answer. I love that.
I fly by the seat of my pants. I do not have a 5-year plan.
The future is the F40, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
right now, in front of you, right?
like I am going to be finishing this F40. That's the biggest hill to climb at the moment. And you know, I'm going to keep doing YouTube for the foreseeable future. I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I love getting to do this, still like some form of storytelling. It's very like focused storytelling.
Different than how you started.
Yeah,
but I think you're a great storyteller. You were great on the website stories that you did with the features, but you're even better, I think, in front of the camera.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I will, like,
Very
I don't
relatable.
want to be on camera. Like, if I could just not be, I would. I don't have a desire to be a personality or like a figure. I don't want to be any version of like famous. Like, that part doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just I want to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so like, I want to build my cars, and this is a means to an end, right?
Yeah. 100%.
And so, but I'm gonna keep with it. It's a creative outlet. Like, I still enjoy like sitting down and editing each one of these episodes. And
do you?
Yeah. And sometimes I don't want to, because there's other stuff I want to do, but like I still enjoy the process. and I spend at least probably 12 hours per episode trying to get it all polished up and perfect, and because I care about the output.
It shows.
But as far as what comes after the F40, I mean, there's lots of other projects that I have in mind. Like my list of project cars that I want to build, as I'm sure you totally understand, is infinitely long. I'll never get to all of them.
No.
And so it just kind of matters like what comes next. Like I actually just bought a car last week. I bought a truck last week. I bought a regular cab short bed GMT 400 98, like just Chevy 1500 pickup.
What's the purpose of that?
So I love those trucks. Like the regular cab short beds are just so cool. I really want to build like a sport truck out of it.
Okay.
My dad
maybe
had.
That's the future of Stansworks.
I don't know. Who knows? But my dad had one when I was a kid, and so I was like, I gotta have one. And I want to put I'd love to put a 632 in it. That's like kind of that's the big thing.
Wow. Okay. So. That's very cool. So am I imagining like a street truck slammed on 20s or something? Or?
Yeah, probably more. I've been going back and forth. Like the wheel wells on those things, they take pretty big wheels. And so in my head, a 20 feels just terrifying. I've been trying to tell myself, like, no, 18. But it might actually need a 20
I think it might, yeah.
So we'll see. But just like sport truck, like some cool 90s graphics on it, like just embrace one. Like when I was a kid, I wasn't into cars really. Like I wasn't into cars until like they were on the horizon of like, oh, I'm going to get a driver's license here in a year or two.
Right.
Prior to that, I was like Counter-Strike. That was it for me. But when I started getting into cars, trucks were way more appealing. I was picking up Truckin' Magazine and the mini trucks more than I was picking up Super Street or what have you. Like I had all the truck magazines, and that's what I wanted.
I went down that same road. I had a Ford Ranger, but what stopped me with that was you had to do a flip on the suspension, and I was scared of that.
Oh yeah,
back then. Today I'd tackle it, but
at the time it was a lot. I mean, even just the idea of like, oh man, cutting a frame and bolting in a C-notch, that's impossible. Who's going to do that? And now it's like, okay.
Bring it over on Saturday. We'll knock it out.
Yeah. No, I was talking again to Riley on the way down here. We're talking about the feasibility of like, I was like, I'm the desire to do this 632 big block in this pickup. It's like high on the want list, low on the priority list right now. And he was like, I get it though, because it seems so doable. I was like, dude, I could just swap a big block into this truck in a weekend and just be back on the road. It's like, this is so small time. And you think back to like being a kid and it's like, that would have taken you a few months to get done, Yeah.
What shop am I going to use to do this? And how much is it going to cost?
So, but as far as the future goes, I'm just going to continue doing what I'm doing and follow where it takes me. I'm going to just focus on like being happy and loving my craft. And I'm going to follow that. That's kind of just been the MO the whole time.
If you love what you're doing, you'll be successful. That's one thing I've figured out.
I hope so.
So before we end this, man, I'm sure you've got some outlets that you want to plug, maybe some friends you want to thank. This is your time to do that. So
I feel like I'm on hot ones. Like I just got to the last wing here. So Stansworks on YouTube. Come check it out if you want really kind of in-depth nerdy build content that focuses on the how and the why, and you're never really going to get that like awesome payoff in one episode. You kind of got to be here for the long haul, but hopefully it's worth it. I like to think that it's worth it.
It's worth it.
And then of course, if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Mike_Stansworks. It's really just car photos. It's not that interesting, but sometimes some behind the scenes info.
Sometimes there's some tidbits in there.
And then just as far as like, the people to thank, I mean, I spent a moment already saying, all of my friends, it feels like a cop out to say who you are, but you do. And of course, the partners that I get to work with, I'm fortunate to get to do what I do. And I'm fortunate to be getting to sit here and, to chat about it. Like, what's better? So
give yourself some credit because you've carved this niche out for yourself because you're passionate and doing something you love. So I appreciate that. That's admirable.
I'll do my best to give myself credit for it, but sometimes it just feels like I fell into it. So
nah, it's all about chasing your dreams, man. That's why you're where you are.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for joining us today, man. And hopefully at some point, maybe we can do this again.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you guys for listening if you made it this far in. And I'll come back anytime.
Cool, man. Thank you, bro.